No problem.
All right, joining us now is a judge who never shies away from offering his opinion. Fox News senior judicial analyst, Judge Andrew Napolitano.
Well, single space.
Single space. I mean, that's a serious homework assignment. Let me ask you, though. So let's look at exactly what he said. It would be unprecedented and an extraordinary step to overturn a law that was passed by a strong majority of the democratically elected Congress. That sounds like the exact definition of what judicial review is, that they can overturn a law if they think it's not unconstitutional. Isn't that what keeps, the president from being a king?
Yes, that's exact. I couldn't have put it better. Judicial review is the power of the courts to review what the other branches have done, to review the legislature, to review the president. Remember, they once ordered the president, right? They ordered President Nixon to the Supreme Court once to comply with a subpoena, and to void what the other branches have done if they're inconsistent with the Constitution. This has been the law since, as Attorney General Holder just said, 1803. So when the president said 2 days ago it would be unprecedented, this is political hyperbole. Now we get into a federal appellate court in the Fifth Circuit, which is Texas and Louisiana, that part of the country. And the health care law is being challenged, a different part than that which was challenged before the Supreme Court last week. And one of the judges looks at the federal U.S. attorney there and says, do you believe that we have the authority to overturn this portion of the law that's being challenged? And he said, yes, I do. And then the judge says, well, your boss apparently doesn't. So we want to hear from your boss, not the president, but the attorney general. Look, judges should not become like politicians. And they shouldn't.
Do you think he was being like a politician by doing this?
I think he was being a little bit too political.
Was he looking for retaliation as well?
If the lawyers had said in the courtroom to him or in a formal document filed with his court, we deny the authority of this court to overturn the challenged portion of the Health Care Act. That would have been outrageous, inconsistent with 200 years of jurisprudence, and it would have been summarily rejected. But when the president says it to reporters 1,000 miles away and he's running for re-election, it's political hyperbole. The president, however, must know that what he said was 180 degrees from the truth. He's a graduate of Harvard Law School.
Right.
He was the chair of the Harvard Law Review, which is the most prestigious position that a law student can have. He was a lecturer in constitutional law at the University of Chicago, one of the 2 or 3 best law schools in the country. He taught this very subject, constitutional law. He himself approved of challenges to legislation in the Bush administration when he was a senator, and he disagreed with the legislation and he wanted the court to overturn it.
So he had to know what he was saying was absolutely false?
Absolutely. And that's a political judgment for the people to make. Do they want to re-elect a president who spoke falsely to them in a form of political hyperbole, which now resulted in this kerfuffle in a Houston courtroom?
It is a kerfuffle. It is a kerfuffle.
I kind of interrupted you earlier about this judge who's requesting this 3-page single-space written piece. Is that some kind of retaliation, or is it a power play? You mentioned that judges shouldn't get involved in the political fray, how else would you characterize it?
It wasn't a request, it was an order, and it was by a panel of 3 judges. The presiding judge is the one who speaks for the other 2. So the 3 of them, off air and out of the hearing of the lawyers, must have conferred, because an order actually came from the court's clerk directing the attorney general to do this. Look, the court doesn't have an army to enforce its will, or the FBI, the way the president does. The court's will is enforced by its credibility, its moral suasion, the fact that we all know that the court has the final word on the law and the Constitution. But when the court gets into areas of politics, it sort of diminishes its credibility. As to why they asked these lawyers to say this, I think the president struck a raw nerve. I think a lot of judges from both sides of the aisle, Democrats, Republicans, liberals, conservatives, progressives, libertarians, are saying, what the heck is he talking about? This is so profoundly wrong. It should not come out of the mouth of a public servant, much less a lawyer.
Yeah. All right.
Tell us how you really feel about it, Judge.
You told me I never shied away from expressing
my opinions. And that is why we love you so much. Thank you so much for coming on. We appreciate it.